Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being punctual and being back here in the hall. We will continue with, I think, something what is very important for everybody dealing with news in Europe and in the world in 2017, and it is fact-checking. What's going on without facts? We saw even in the morning that many questions about this application called Reporterio was actually questions about something what is also connected sometimes with fact-checking. For this session, I'm very glad that I can announce the moderator will be Jean-Marc Dubois from French television, ex-president of CIRCOM. Please say hello to him.
Thank you.
And his colleagues, Julien, also from French television, Mignion, and colleague from Belgium, RTBF, Schwarz.
Okay, thank you, Domagoy. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to check a fact. Is everyone here? Yes, the ones that are here. But I'd like the rest are coming. No, it's okay? Okay, let's go. The title of this session is fact-checking trend, a must. I would say a trend surely, because nowadays there is no election, no report without fact-checking behind. In France, we even have some newsroom with task force in order to prepare the fact-checking, as immediately after the person has said something. We had the election right now in France, and everybody was fact-checking everything. But does it mean the end or the death of fake news? Is fact-checking changing people's point of view? At the end, do people believe it? If you see what happened in the States, the election of Trump, there was fact-checking every time, every day, and people just don't care about that. So that's really a question that we can ask in this session. And behind that now, there is a new question that is the checking of the fact a true checking? I don't know, sometimes you can question. Who is checking the fact that you check? That's a question that some people just starting to ask. And does it give the only absolute truth? Sometimes you can discuss about that. That's a lot of questions that we try to answer. We have 3 guests, 2 Belgian people, 1 French. I was designed as moderator because we all speak French, so that was easier. We could check our own facts. Christine and Thomas. Christine started working for RTBF 26 years ago. She worked in the graphic department, and now she's working for 6 years with Alexander Pretzer on the co-production linked to CIRCOM. Thomas is now working for RTBF about more than 3 years, and on the script, it's written is a talented 360 degrees journalist. It means only that he works for all the media, radio, TV, online, and he's used to that. I've seen it doing this. So Thomas made his first Mojo experience also with RTBF, and now he has been covering for 2 years 2 sequences, one called Digest Info, and the other one, It's Not So Difficult. C'est pas si compliqué. So Christine and Thomas are working on the weekly fact-checking seconds called Checkpoint, which is produced for the RTBF plus 2 French TV, Public Sénat and LCP Assemblée Nationale, which belong to the Senate and the National Assembly in France. That's the special, but that's the French way to do things. They will explain what they are doing. I won't say more than that. Julien is editor-in-chief at France Info. France Info is the new news channel launched in September, the 1st of September, no, 23rd of August, I think, 20th of August. Fact-checking. No, I think it was the day before on the radio in order to squeeze the buzz. There was something like that. Anyway, before that, he used to work for France 24, which is also a news channel in several languages, international public channel. And he produces a lot of module, what we call short format. So now, well, Julien has been working in fact-checking for more than 10 years. It's his main topic. And he works especially on a program called Instant Detox. You've got info, intoxication, and detoxification. So Instant Detox is a way to show what's going on, but it's quite special. He's not doing this inside, he's going out. He's going to meet people in the street. And he's doing both on the net, on Facebook, and on the big screen. Not at the same time, but it gives two kind of programs. And he will explain what he's doing. And he has more than hundreds of thousands of followers, if I don't make any mistake. Yeah, thousands, let's say. Okay, anyway, that's two ways to practice fact-checking. One is more in the analyze. It takes a long time, and for Julien, it's more on the dole like that. So please, Christine and Thomas, if you want to come. She is doing. Okay.
I start. I try to start. So welcome. Hang on, I will first try. Voila. So, as Jean-Marc already said, this fact-checking sequence called Checkpoint is part of a magazine which is called Europe Hebdo. This is a weekly 26-minute magazine presented by these two French parliamentary channels, LCP, Assemblée Nationale, and Public Sénat. It was created in 2009. And RTBF at that time was what we could call maybe a non-active partner, a nice partner, because we went there and had the idea, why not having this interesting show on our programs? So actually we started and just took this program and put it on our third television station called La Trois. And like things happen, you get to know each other, you get to be friends, you feel like it's interesting and what you do every week, you meet every week. And then all of a sudden we decided last summer, what could we bring to this Europe Hebdo program to be a bit more young, to touch more people, to have something a little plus to it. So we decided to create something which is called, we called it then Checkpoint, the fact-checking sequence. So RTBF, as a framework partner with the European Parliament, decided to submit this project, and we got that. So now, from January till June, we started the first time to produce 20 sequences and add them every week to the existing program. So, the little plus, as I said, keeps on going with the initial wish to open the audience to European issues, catches the younger audience with news language. So this was what we wanted to put in there. And what was interesting for me as a producer with, as Jean-Marc said, as a graphic design background, was also to create the whole thing, because we produce every week on average 1 minute 40 about a little 2-minute sequence, and there we started in January, the 3rd of January, saying, okay, what does it look like? What shall we put in it? How do we also stick to a certain budget? And what can we do to look at dynamic, to that also it keeps in the look and feel of this program. So these are all things which are really very interesting and challenging to me. So the idea is we start from statements of politicians or also from pre-established meanings from the citizen. We'll show you later an example. Everybody says, well, since we passed to the euro, everything went up, the prices climbed up. So this, for example, was one of our first checkpoints. But Thomas, who is our journalist, will talk about this later. So the outreach and the spreading was also interesting, because when you submit a new project which is financed, it's also always interesting to see, does it also bring something new? Is it really true that you catch this young audience? So interesting here is with this project, we are on 3 channels, 2 in France, 1 in Belgium. Also on all the social networks, because the fact-checking sequence is produced first to live on television, of course, including this structure from Europe Hebdo, which I told you earlier. But the idea also here is that it lives on its own. And I'm really pleased with this outreach and the success of it, because we just finished the 60th episode of the 20, and we found out that the fact-checking sequence has a lot more viewers and comments and interests than actually the catch-up from the initial Europe Hebdo show. So we are very happy with this. So this is what it looks like. So we produce, as I said, a structured editorial graphic sequence, and there you can see it also on our internet site, on the information, because Thomas, who will explain you all this in details, you can find back the articles, etc. But I would ask Thomas to join us and to tell about the journalistic point of view.
Hi, everybody. So, as Christine said, this sequence has its own life online with a more detailed article that goes with the sequence. And the article is kind of the bonus. The website article is the bonus. You have more information. You have all the sources we use to produce the sequence. And it is put online before it has been broadcast on TV. So it's online life is really important to us. So as you can see, we've done a lot of sequence already. It's always linked more or less to European Union, but even though with various topics. For instance, we fact-checked about cigarette smuggling, about the proportion of laws, national laws imposed by European Union. Is it really 80%, as we can hear sometime? We talked about the number of so-called economic migrants and the number of refugees and so on. And so we decided to show you today the very first sequence we've made, so about the euro currency and the rising prices, as Christine talked about. So it's not really the more original topic we choose, but it was the first, so we wanted to experience a way to get it accessible. And so, yeah, we heard it again, this meaning that, yeah, euro made the prices rise during the election in France, for instance, this year. And we try to explain it in a pedagogic way. So we can maybe look at it.
On le sait tous, l'euro n'a pas que des amis. Que ce soit dans la rue ou sur les réseaux sociaux, la monnaie unique est parfois critiquée et une idée revient régulièrement. Elle est même récupérée en politique, notamment par l'extrême droite. Il n'est pas rare d'entendre que l'euro est responsable d'une augmentation des prix. Mais tout d'abord, les prix ont-ils réellement augmenté depuis l'euro? Prenons un exemple que tout le monde connaît, celui du pain. En France comme en Belgique, le prix de la baguette a gonflé. Avant l'euro, notre baguette coûtait 60 centimes. Et 15 ans plus tard, la baguette affiche 85 centimes. Pour l'ensemble des produits, l'Union européenne calcule la hausse des prix à l'aide d'un indice, l'IPCH, l'indice des prix à la consommation harmonisée. Cet indice surveille l'évolution du prix du panier de la ménagère et nous montre que d'une année à l'autre, les prix ont pratiquement toujours augmenté. Donc c'est un fait, il y a bien eu une hausse des prix. Mais pour autant, l'euro est-il responsable de cette augmentation? À l'époque des francs, il n'était pas rare que les prix bondissent de 3 voire 4%. Et depuis la monnaie unique, cette hausse était en moyenne inférieure à 2%. Quant à ceux qui n'ont pas l'euro, comme la Pologne ou encore le Royaume-Uni, leurs résultats sont moins bons et dépassent en moyenne ces 2%. Donc si les prix continuent bel et bien d'augmenter, cette hausse est plus timide qu'auparavant. Autrement dit, si l'on reprend notre baguette, eh bien son prix grimpait nettement plus vite avant l'euro. Notre monnaie européenne aurait même permis un tassement de cette augmentation. La situation est meilleure depuis l'euro et affirmer que l'euro est responsable d'une augmentation des prix, c'est tout simplement faux.
So as you just seen, it is, well, we try to show some theoretical stuff to show them in images that can be understood by almost everyone. And as you just seen, there are lots of figures, and that leads us to how we do this fact-checking work. And here, honestly, I kind of hesitate to put this on the screen. That's because it's basic journalism. It's just checking, verifying information. That's what we all do every day. So it's just has its big name, fact-checking. But we start with choosing the statement, the sentence from a politician or from citizens, what they can think about the EU. And then the researchers start with databases, so all those figures. We have to put sources on the video to be kind of transparent about what we checked. And of course, official stats with organization like Eurostat. And then we analyze those figures. We're making some calculations. We're looking at laws sometimes. So it's kind of basic work. And then we have our work process, because it's the very first sequence of that type we do at RTBF. So we had to, with Christine, to find a way of working all together with the graphic designer, the sound mixer, the producer, and the journalist. With the one problem, we're not working physically at the same place. So that's kind of a process we had to imagine. And as you can see, yeah, it all starts with the editorial part, with choosing the topic, the sentence, the statement we are going to fact check, and then the research and the contacts we may have to take, and then the voice writing, and then the storyboard. So as the graphic designer is in Charleroi, just to say, in Belgium, so a small town far from Brussels. We have to send him a table with my text and what we could see on the screen. So we discussed about it the next day to see if he has some more ideas, if he understood what we were asking him. And then while he's working, I'm writing the article that goes with it online. And then on Monday is the final day with the sound mixing, the voiceover recording, and the final sequence is then sent to our partners in France. And the article goes online, as I said, days before it is broadcasted on TV, 2 days, I think, for France, and 5 days before for Belgium. So that's kind of the process we put to make this sequence. So thank you for your attention.
Hello. So, as Jean-Marc said, I've been doing fact-checking for quite a long time. And you know the way fact-checking works. You work sometimes 2-3 days on one story to show that one piece of information is false. It's a lot of work. It's hard work. And then you put your news on the internet. And you say, oh, what this politician said, or this photo is fake. So hear me, people, it's fake. And you get people telling you, great work, fact-checking is important, and you're happy. But then you realized that you only talk to people who are already convinced that fact-checking is important. And I realized I was not having, I think, any impact on the real world. Because I was putting out the information on my website, on my Twitter account, and people who read my fact-checking, they were people who actually didn't believe fake news. I was talking to you guys. I don't need to talk to you about fake news because you already know when it's fake. And that's the problem I had. So I wondered how to get people out of their bubble. You know these people who believe in fake news, let's say the Trump voters. They live in their bubble. And when I talk to them, they tell me, I don't care about you. You're a journalist. You're outside my bubble, and I don't want to talk to you. So my problem was, it's a good thing to work on fact-checking. It's a lot of work, but then I don't reach the people I want to reach. I want to reach people who don't trust me. So how do I do that? And that's my experiment, because in my channel we have the opportunity to experiment, and sometimes to fail, which is a good thing. So my experiment is called the Instant Detox. And as Jean-Marc said, I'm trying to take fact-checking to the streets. So I'll show you an example, but what I do is I go live on Facebook Live, and I go to the streets with my iPad, and I show people fake news, random people in the street, and I get their reaction on fake news. And the beauty of it is there are people who don't know about France Info, they don't know about even France Télévisions, they don't care. And usually, I get the real feeling, what people really think about fake news. So I kind of get into their bubble. Even if they don't want me to, I talk to them and I say, okay, you're a journalist, I'm a journalist, you're not, but let's talk, let's try. So it's very transparent, because it's Facebook Live, so you can actually check everything I say. It's not edited, so you can't blame me for being a liar. And if you do, then I say, check the Facebook Live. You've got everything in front of your eyes. And the good thing, I think, is that I get criticized a lot. When you put your information out on your Twitter accounts, usually people agree with you because they're your community. You're talking to your community, so they're nice to you. When I do it on Facebook Live, check the comments. They're not nice to me. They criticize me, while they insult me a lot, but who cares? At least I'm reaching out to people I didn't know before. And I think even if it's hard, even if it's tough, I believe it's a good thing to be confronted to that as a journalist. Well, you'll see, it's a quite, if you want to talk about the technical part, that's the way I do it. I have a real camera, the first person to the left. I have a sound engineer, and I have someone just with a mobile phone, like Mojo. So the first one to the right is filming me live on Facebook. That guy, the girl behind is actually getting the sound, because when you're doing Facebook Live, the sound is very important. And it's not because you're doing Mojo that you're doing it with a phone, that you just skip the technical part and say, well, I don't care about the sound. No, the sound is extremely important. So I'm trying to do it, even if it's a light way of doing TV, I'm trying to do it properly, and technically it has to be good. So I have a sound engineer, and I have the big camera, and the big camera is because I go live on Facebook, but then after that, I produce a TV program which goes on air, broadcast, on my channel. And you know how the way it works. If you want to produce like a nice TV program, then it's better to have a nice camera too. iPhone is nice, but you know, if you can do better, then do better. I'm going to I'll show you an example of my show. This one, I shot it in Hénin-Beaumont. Hénin-Beaumont is a town which is managed by the National Front. So I guess you know about the National Front. You know it lost the election. Good thing. And they were the one circulating a lot of fake news on the internet. They were like the Trump of France. So I decided to go to Hénin-Beaumont, their town, to show to people on the streets the fake news circulated by the Front National, but also the fake news circulated against Front National, because Front National is not the only party or side to circulate fake information. And I wanted to show you that because the reaction of people were surprising even to me. And honestly, I'm used to get weird reaction from people in the street. I'm really used to it, but this one, take a look. Can you put the sound? Yeah, without the sound, it's less interesting. Thank you, whoever does it. Otherwise, go to YouTube. Works fine.
Si je vous montre cette photo,
I have the same video on YouTube.
c'est Jean-Marie Le Pen, et cette...
That's good.
Si je vous montre cette photo, c'est Jean-Marie Le Pen, et cet internaute nous raconte qu'en fait, le FN est financé grâce à Jean-Marie Le Pen qui fait pousser du cannabis. Vous en pensez quoi, vous?
Je ne suis pas étonné, mais bon, il n'est pas le seul.
Il n'est pas le seul.
Forcément, ça paraît dégueulasse même, parce que c'est plomber tout le cerveau des jeunes pour financer une campagne politique. Mais après, il n'y a rien qui nous étonne de Le Pen. Vous sortez d'où?
De la télévision française. Je suis à Hénin-Beaumont, commune tenue par le FN depuis 2014. Je parle des intox qui circulent lors de la campagne présidentielle sur Internet. J'en ai récupéré 3-4 et j'essaie d'avoir la réaction des gens dessus. À la base, c'est pas vrai comme information. Non, c'est pas vrai. En fait, c'est l'internaute qui raconte ça. Au départ, c'est un site parodique, un site humoristique, et ça a été repris par tous les internautes qui ont cru comme vous, et vous n'êtes pas le seul. Hein. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui y ont cru, qui ont dit « Mais alors ça veut dire que le Front National est financé par le cannabis ?» Alors que c'est faux. C'est un tweet d'un internaute qui dit que, alors que le président est allé au chevet de Théo, ce jeune qui avait été victime de violences présumées de la part des policiers, Quand un pompier, lui, a eu l'œil crevé par des racailles, le président ne s'est pas déplacé. Si vous voyez ce genre d'informations circuler sur...
Ça fait mal au cœur pour lui, c'est tout, hein. Ça fait mal au cœur pour lui. Hein.
Mais je sais pas si c'est vrai, je sais pas.
Fausse information, hein. Au axe.
Hoax?
Ouais, obligatoirement.
Moi, je tente à croire qu'ils n'auraient pas marqué ça pour rien, quand même.
Dans ce cas-là, c'est une photo qui a été détournée. Et le jeune pompier qu'on voit ici, il n'a pas été éborgné par des racailles, comme le dit l'internaute. En fait, vraisemblablement, c'était lors de manifestations entre des pompiers et des CRS, et il a pris justement un coup d'un CRS, un objet qui venait des CRS. Je pense que toutes les fausses informations qui circulent en France, notamment, ça peut être à propos de la sécurité sociale, des migrants, etc., elles finissent par rentrer dans la tête des gens. Et moi, j'aurais tendance à dire que si elles ont un impact sur une élection. Là, par exemple, c'est un internaute qui nous dit « La mairie de Paris décide de démolir un phare breton, donc qui était dans Paris, pour construire des studios pour les migrants. » Et pour lui, c'est la honte. Ça, j'ai trouvé ça sur Internet, vous en pensez quoi?
Un phare breton à Paris, il y a un souci, non?
Un phare breton à Paris, ça me paraît déjà bizarre.
Ça, c'est vrai.
Ah, c'est vrai, c'est vraiment...
Il y a vraiment un phare breton à Paris qui a été détruit, et qui a été détruit pour construire effectivement des studios. C'est qu'en fait, ces studios, c'est pas des studios uniquement pour les migrants. Ouais, voilà. Ça, c'est là, la manipulation, elle est là. Vous faites confiance à Internet d'une manière générale?
Moi, il y a des moments, je fais quand même confiance à Internet.
Moi, je pense que Twitter ou même Facebook, on devrait bloquer ces choses-là. Pourquoi on continue à les laisser divulguer des mensonges?
De toute façon, tout ce qui est sur Facebook, sur Internet, ça peut être dangereux.
Dans ce cas-là, faites le travail vous-même de vérifier un peu. En fait, nous, on appelle ça croiser les sources. C'est-à-dire quand une seule personne me raconte quelque chose, je vais d'abord aller vérifier avec d'autres sources avant de la croire. Vous pouvez regarder, il y a un très bon site internet qui s'appelle CrossCheck. Et donc, vous allez trouver tous les exemples que je mentionne d'intox qui circulent au moment de la campagne. Eh bien, CrossCheck les a, ce qu'on appelle débunkés, a montré que ces informations étaient fausses et elle explique comment faire pour trouver soi-même et prouver soi-même qu'une information est fausse.
Okay, that's my attempt to take fact-checking to the streets. That's the way it works. As you see, on this particular case, it's been shot with only one camera, the iPhone. So the quality is not that good. Usually for TV, we have two cameras, it works better. This show is live on Facebook, 45 minutes live, anything can happen. Then it's a 3-minute show, the one you've seen, which is posted on YouTube, on Facebook with subtitles, and also on TV. And I mentioned TV last because I'll be very honest with you, that's not my priority because we get much more viewers online than on broadcast. And I reach the people I want to reach on Facebook and YouTube more than TV. Because on TV, again, I reach you guys. And no offense, but you're not the people I want to reach. I rather want to reach your kids or kids from other parts of France that never watch TV. Because these guys, they're the ones who are going to believe in fake news. And they're the people we have to talk to. We don't have to talk among each other, to our community and be happy because we did a good job and, congratulate ourselves. We have to talk to the people who are going to vote at the next election because, as I say in my program, I believe fact-checking can have an impact, but we have to take it to the streets. In terms of impact, I'll just finish with giving you a few figures. This show, every week, I get between 50,000 up to 700,000 people watching me live. It's much more than I can have on TV so far because we're a small TV. The catch-up program, the one you've seen, the 3 minutes, again, it can go from 60,000 minimum up to 4.5 million. One of my shows got viewed 4.5 million times on Facebook, the viral effect. And this program was about the number of Muslims we have in the country. French people believe that we have 20% Muslim people in France. Sometimes they believe we have 40, 60%, unbelievable. So in that show, I was showing that we have 7.5% Muslims in France only. And this show was watched by 4.5 million people, especially teenagers and young people. And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, because I don't know if I have an impact. It's difficult to know. But at least I'm trying. And I think if you reach 4 million people, maybe at some point, well, you did something good for democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Julien. I think you will have some questions. I have one question, and it's also available for you. How long does it take to prepare the sequence Facebook? Because 1 hour live, you have to have a lot of things to say, and how long does it take for you?
It doesn't take that much time. Honestly, I don't have that much time because at France Info, I'm the editor-in-chief of all the feature reports. So I'm busy doing that. And this show, I prepare it in usually half day. It's not a lot. So what I do, I try to read as much as I can on the topic to have things to answer to people I'm talking to. And now what I'm doing, because I believe the first shows, there wasn't enough content and information in it. So what I'm doing now is that during the live, you have random people in the street I meet, and I have also experts coming, researchers from universities or specialists of economists, and they come to my show. So I talk to people on the street, and then I go talk to a researcher who heard what I was saying to people and who can react. And I think it adds a bit more depth to my reporting, which I think was necessary.
Thank you. And you? It's on. Take this one.
I just wanted to add in our case about the reaction. It's not on the street, of course, because we record this program in the European Parliament in Brussels and in Strasbourg. And the reaction there comes from, on average, invited 3 MAPs, experts, etc. And they react there straight away after having seen the checkpoint sequence. So it's obviously it's a different approach, of course.
Do you have some questions among you?
Questions, please. Okay, here is one, and here's second.
Hello, I'm Cecilia from Sweden. We have a big discussion about content in social media, to give away the content on Facebook. Swedish television has a rule that we give 45 seconds only. What's your opinion of that? You give away your material, that Facebook own it?
You mean that you're advised to only put 45 seconds videos on Facebook? Is it an advice within your channel? Or?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, what people tell you is that on Facebook you have to be very short, always. So never produce anything more than 1 minute. But that's what people tell you, and I don't trust it. And I think it's because we believe that, because young people, they're young, so they're gonna not be interested in longer reports. And what we found out, that it's more complicated than that. The easiest way to get clicks and to get an audience is, of course, to make very short videos. I'll give you that. It works better. But my show is 3 minutes, which is very long for Facebook, and it works really well. So I don't think we should have shouldn't be dogmatic. You can have a longer report that works, as long as it fits the format Facebook, which is very specific. The way you work on Facebook is different than TV, so you have to address that. But if you produce high quality content for Facebook, go longer, do your job.
I agree with you actually, but then you give away the content. Facebook own your content.
Then there's a part of giving away to Facebook. Yes, of course, if you need to make money out of it, I don't, because we're a public service, so and I think what we're doing is really public service, like fighting fake news. So I'm trying to reach as many people as I can. I know I cannot reach them on my broadcast because the age is too high, unfortunately, so far. So the best way to reach people, to reach this young crowd, is to go where they are on Facebook. So yes, if financially it's not a good calculation, it wouldn't be good for the channel, but I think let's be realistic. If you want to reach young people, that's the way to go.
Okay, we have another question here in front. Microphone will come immediately.
Hello, Anton from SVT Sweden. When you are live on Facebook, have you researched the people that you want to talk to, or or if not, how do you handle people who don't want to be on your show or who gets angry when they realize you're actually broadcasting them?
Again, it's the mistake I made in the beginning. I was approaching them and asking them, do you want to talk to me? But the thing is, I was already filming them. So people in the comments, and I read the comments and I try to answer the comments, they told me, well, you can't do that because they're already on air. And now I'm doing differently, so when I approach them, the cameraman is not filming. He's filming me or my back or something else. And when they say, I tell them, we're shooting live on Facebook Live, do you want to appear? And then I go. It slows down a bit the process, but I think people are used to it, and the viewers, they know the way it works, and it's transparent.
Thanks.
Okay, we have another question here.
Yeah, that was actually the same question. I wanted to know how much is it directed when you are outside on the street? Do you have somebody who helps you, like who will go and grab your potential characters, who will say something?
It's funny. It's a TV question. So like a TV professional would ask that. I have absolutely no one helping me. It's really the way it looks like. I'm going to people. Many people, of course, you don't see that in the 3 minutes replay, but many people turn me down, and they tell me, I don't want to talk to you. Sometimes they can be even not that nice. One or twice, I got people who actually wanted to beat me up. It happened because they thought they were being filmed, even though it wasn't the case. But it's live, so I cannot stop and show them the video. And they got angry, but that's part of the job. And especially in Hénin-Beaumont, the city you saw, which is run by the Front National, I got in trouble because I had these shaved guys coming to me, and they were trying to actually, they didn't like what I was doing, so they took the excuse that I was filming them to try to stop the show. I mean, that's part of the experience as a journalist. It's real live, and do I have time to give an anecdote?
Yeah.
There's something that happened to me that was really maybe my best experience ever. I was filming the live show, and I was talking about abortion and how in France you have people who want to give up on the right to abortion. It's a tiny minority, but it exists. And I was talking about that to people on the streets. And there was a nurse. She was at her apartment, and she was watching me on Facebook, and she could see where I was. Because the place, I don't hide where I am. And she get out of her apartment, and she came to me, and she was watching the show while coming to me, and she came to me, and the last interview I have in the show is someone who came to me and said, I'm a nurse, I work with these women, and I'm a specialist. I know about abortion, and I want to contribute. And she contributed live in the show, and then, of course, for TV. And as a journalist, that's the kind of interaction, like direct interaction. Well, you can't expect more.
Maybe final question for everybody up there who feel ready to answer. Do you have any feedback from politicians who produce sometimes those fake news after you started to produce this kind of content which is checking their statements?
Yeah, as Christine said, we have MEPs on the show and they're watching our small sequence, so 1 minute 30, and they are reacting after they've seen him. And I just can't remember the one on Front National about the European deficit, the strategy, the economic strategist.
Just microphone.
Yeah, the economic strategist of Front National was talking about European deficit, which doesn't exist, and the MEPs was just saying, yeah, just look, that proved that the Front National is not a real party. They're not designed to rule a country. So that showed, well, our sequence was getting some kind of good debates on the show there.
Same question for France.
On that particular show, I don't have any pressure from politicians.
No pressure, but reaction, you know, after they know that their statements are now can be very quickly checked publicly, shown as fake news. Do they take more careful statements after it, or maybe they just don't care?
They are doing political fact-checking.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is more, I'm fact-checking things that are going on the internet. So not especially politician statements. Well, I have pressures for other shows on France Info, but on this one, the pressure I get is from the crowd. Is from networks, especially far-right or far-left networks online, that actually, they abuse you online. It's like, you know, dogs coming after you, like all bunch of them. And that's my problem with that show, more than politicians, because politicians, I try not to get into politics. I don't even mention the politicians' names. I want to talk about fake news, but without getting into politics. That's my angle on this show.
Okay, any more questions? Yeah, one more.
That's actually true. Sorry. That's actually true. That's the difference, because all the politicians declare, make statements, and use this also later for their political debates, of even to be elected. And this is what happened with the French election. A lot of people said a lot of things, and then it goes into the meanings of the next debates, and nobody really says, well, stop, is that really true or not, what they say? And they say it in the view to be elected. So, as you said, we are more searching in true, false of these statements, and to show if really it's correct or not.
Last question.
My question is complementary. It's a very interesting complementary approach, which is different. And I will reverse the question from the one and the other. How can you, RTBF, I'm a little bit suspect from RTBF, go to the public e-reach, and how can you, as RTBF does, give more information to this public, not only reaction, but information? They are more in depth in the information. There's a interesting complementary question.
To give more information, there's several ways. First, when sometimes you see in the show, I face the camera, and that's when usually I give information. If you listen to the 45 minutes live, I give plenty of information. This is just a summary. The other way, which is maybe more innovative, is that it's a Facebook Live. So during the Facebook Live, I have a community manager at his desk, and I give him the source of my investigating. So if I'm talking about abortion, I'll give him the articles I read, and even contacts to specialists. And while I'm talking, the community manager posts the links to the audience. Again, what impact do I have? How many people click on the links? I don't know, but if I get one or two, it's a success anyway.
It's actually interesting because we do exactly the same. It's, as I said at the very beginning, when there's the first text where Thomas writes, it's divided in two. One part goes to the graphic designer with instructions. It's a shortcut to be dynamic and not too boring, because it's always a bit difficult to treat in a nice dynamic way political serious things. So we try to keep it quite short. We have to there. And the other part is like a bit like what you're doing, is going into a very big article, which you can see on the website, going with the sequence together, and where you find all the serious sources, analyses, and the article he writes.
Just to conclude, I would like to say two things. In both sides, you can say two same thing. It takes time. You need people anyway. You have a community manager. You have a team working with you. You have to work yourself, and what you're doing is not the end. Everything is on the net, and there is a long trend. Same for you. And now, that's really the difference between before. Even with the TV. There is the TV, but the TV is not the end now. So the fact-checking is going on and going on. And I'm sure that people react on that, and they react on your website. So, quite interesting. I like the format. This format could be used for a lot of things out of fact-checking. And we used to do that at France 3 in the regions, because Facebook Live is something easier for us. And we do that for, and I agree with you, the format is some time, we can stay 1 hour, and people are just, it's like incremental process. And of course they say you have to be short, but no, you have to be long. Sometimes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. Thank you, Thomas, Christine, Julien.